Now we've got a bit of old school footage, Giro della Toscana 2017, and my oh my, do we have a strong breakaway. Nibali, Bernal, Backert, and Cummings. Now, this is a Nibali fresh off second in the Vuelta. He then went on to win Lombardia, second in Emilia, and third in Trevally Varasina. This is Egan Bernal, got a contract with Ineos, just won L'Avenir. Freddie Backert, top five in La Semaine and Tour de Limousin, I believe it was, and he also got a top five. Sorry, he also got a top 10, I think it was in Binch Shimmy Binch after this, or a top result. And then you also got Steve Cummings, who won national championships in both road race and time trial. He had a rough season before, and then the Tour, he was close to winning a stage on the top of the aerodrome after climbing the Parasud. So very strong breakaway, 4.6 kilometers to go, and everyone's pulling strong turns. Nibali and Cummings are really driving their break. Backert and Bernal were pretty happy to be there, I think. Bernal was obviously had a ridiculous season this year, and he won most of the stage races he was doing, and managed to win the Coppa Italia for Nippo Vini. No, not Nippo Vini. No, what team? Androni CDMX, sorry. And yeah, Nibali is in top condition. Second in the world, so behind Froome was very solid. Behind, Nibali had the trump card. I think he should have played a bit more. He had Sonny Colbrelli, who obviously is very, very strong. I think it finished second in one of the bunch sprints behind Sagan in this tour. So he's super, super strong in the Tour in 2017. So I think realistically, Nibali should have waited. Obviously, he's their team leader, but I still think he should have sat on more. Potentially, I'm foreshadowing what's going to happen a bit more. But anyway, suffice to say, the break was very, very strong. The chase was also strong. But I think, as you saw from the profile, it's pretty hilly. This is flat. It's got sort of flat circuits in the run-in to the final, and these guys are just pulling strong turns. I mean, like they were on fire. Like I looked at their pro cycling stats just before this, and we're like, wow, this is a strong break. Um, so yeah, like Freddie Backup, potentially the least well known, but this year he had some solid results. I mean, like top three in Trobo Leon is solid, and Les Amin. Those are the two races, and I think maybe it was 13th in Bench Jimmy Bench. Obviously, Steve Cummings is Steve Cummings. He's a breakaway master. Very, very smooth on the pedals. Sunglasses. As soon as those sunglasses go behind his helmet, you know there's going to be trouble. And again, Nibali just pulling turns, which I don't think he should have done. I think he should have sat on because he's not the strongest sprinter. There's no real way they can get away. It's a completely flat running. Bernal, I think, just wanted the points of the Coppa Italia. He probably got told by Savio, like, just get me the points of the Coppa Italia. Means we get a slot for the Giro next year. And then, that's all happy days for that team. And Savio's got 500k or whatever it was for developing Bernal, so he's going to be a happy boy. Um, but yeah, it is interesting because you think basically, Steve Cummings is very good on the track, bronze medal as they said in the commentary on the track, like in the Olympics in the team pursuit. So he's obviously very punchy. Like if you're going to take him to the line, you'd expect two people, Backert or Cummings, to win, and most people would say Cummings. So if you're Nibali and Bernal, what are you going to do? I mean, I think Nibali just sits on and says, I've got Colbrelli behind, I'm going to wait and then do a last, 1 kilometer to go attack and hope for the best. Bernal, I think, is harder because his team boss wants him to get the points of the Coppa Italia. So Coppa Italia is like a season-long rankings of Italian teams in the Italian races, and it basically means that if you win it, you get a slot to the Giro. So I think he had to pull. I don't think he could have sat on, but I think if this was obviously there's the GC the day after potentially. They're thinking this is a 2-day stage race, so maybe they're thinking about that. So that there's more interest. Like it's not as simple as just saying they're going for the stage win, but I still think they could have finessed it slightly better, especially Nibali. Because I think Cummings and Bakker especially would have been very motivated because this is a good performance for him. Obviously, he's ridden the Tour, so he's no dummy. But winning a stage here would have been pretty solid for him. And Cummings hadn't had a great season. He crashed very early on. Obviously, he won the national championships, but in the Tour, he didn't win a stage and was probably out to prove something and out to try and get a good result for the team. And he had a contract the next year, so it wasn't like a contract thing. But anyway, so it's just this is a really good race. I think the Giro della Toscana and all these Italian late classics are really, really good. The footage is also available for me, which is class. And the chase behind, like I think they were going for Gregor Borle. They said in commentary UAE. But they started to mess around here. 1.4k to go. They got a 30-second gap. I mean, you sort of know it's not coming back. And you can see Cummings here goes to the front through the roundabout. And I think this is just to stop anyone attacking, because he goes around the roundabout, you can slow it down a little bit and just make sure that no one's going to attack into the roundabout, because obviously that's a natural place. Anyway, Bernal then decides that now's the time to go. And I think this was a mistake, because yeah, he goes, and Cummings is having to put a lot of work into the final. But you know, in on paper, I thought this was a good attack, but like he had really good legs, and I think he could have beat Cummings in a sprint if he hadn't have done this that effort. And then like it wasn't that hard because everyone managed to set on. I think they'd been doing, you know, like soft tapping turns for the last, you know, 10K, let's say. So it was sort of like one of those attacks where, yeah, it wasn't the right to go like straight away, I guess, because everyone's going to chase. Maybe if that had been the second attack, it would have got away. But I think Cummings was just like chasing everything down. Now, Wanted getting on the front here, and I think they had Xander and Maurice. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they did. So Backups, why he was pulling before, didn't really make any sense either. So there was some questionable tactics going on for the two teams, well, especially Nibali, as Sonny Colbrelli was by far the fastest in the group behind. But we're coming into the final sprint, and we're going to get switched to the head-on shot. So you can see Cummings is on the right hand side. He's looking over his shoulder. There's a barrier coming up to the right, so they can't actually pass on his left hand shoulder. So he's just looking over his right shoulder, making sure. And to be honest, I think at this point, like, you know, he doesn't have the best position. Backups just then goes way too early. Cummings doesn't even get on his wheel. Cummings just decides to go, right, I'm going in the middle. Nibali's split in between, doesn't get any draft. And look how close Bernal. If there wasn't a barrier there, Bernal was super close. We're going to watch this again, but Bernal almost got it. And Backups came a very long way around. So I think Cummings actually wasn't as strong as everyone predicted. And then this is why Nibali shouldn't have pulled, because Colbrelli dusts absolutely everyone off in this sprint, and just has it easily. So I think, yeah, they should have definitely waited. Nibali, obviously, maybe this was a one-day race, they would have done. But we'll watch the overhead sprint, because there was some odd tactics going on there. Because Nibali didn't get a wheel. Backups went to the other side of the road, which was probably a good idea because no one drafted him. But it just did seem to be a slightly longer way around than what Cummings um, did. Because you can see here, like, everyone's across the road. The only one who got some draft was Bernal, which is maybe why he came so close. But, you know, he came the wrong side. He came on the barrier side, which is always a bit sketch. But look on this bit, like, he actually got really close, which is why I think if he didn't do the early attack, he could have had that. Like, there wasn't much in it. There really wasn't. I mean, okay, you know, he obviously lost a fair amount of ground, like, on the very line, but I think Cummings wasn't as nailed on as people thought. And maybe, you know, if Bernal had known that he would have got this close, I doubt he would have attacked at all. Obviously, it's like half a bike length or something, but it's not, you know, for a 58-kilo climber against a Team Pursuit or ex-Team Pursuit specialist, it's not bad. So Bernal got second, back at third, and then Nibali fourth. So anyway, cheers for watching. I hope you did enjoy this video. This is one of Steve Cummings' last, actually, really, really solid performances, unfortunately. Then he crashed in 2019, actually, out of contract, and didn't renew his contract, which is a shame. But I really like the man. He's an absolute legend, and it's always good to see him doing well. So anyway, cheers for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.